Hello students, welcome to lecture 6 of Calculus of Variations and Mechanics. In this lecture, we are going to discuss mainly two problems. One is the problem of the brachistochrone and second is the problem of geodesics. The problem of brachistochrone we have already discussed and about the statement, and what is the problem of geodesics we are going to discuss it in detail. We are mentioning certain examples over here and we will calculate the geodesics of a spherical surface. So first of all, what is the problem of brachistochrone? We have already stated that if there are 2 points A and B, let A is at origin and B has coordinate these, then if we find the path along which an object would slide in the shortest possible time from A to B, if it starts from rest, under the acceleration due to gravity. So here we are considering this point A has coordinates 0, 0. This is at origin, and we are considering yx downward, and this is x-axis, and particle is moving from point A to point B. You have to find the shortest time. That means you have to minimize the time. That means you have to obtain the functional as a time. Means time will be some functional. So how to find the time? You know the in usual mechanics that time is given by distance over velocity. So here if we consider very small arc, the length of very small arc, suppose this is here ds, means I'm considering here, let this part is here very small arc, let this is ds, this is ds suppose. Now in this situation what we can do, the time to travel this part is ds by, if this is a small straight line, ds over velocity, and if we are traveling from point A to point B, then the whole time is given by ds over v and integration from A to B. Now question arises, how to simplify this further? What is the value of this ds and what will be value of this velocity? Now I tell you, the velocity is given by here according to the equations of the motions. You know, if u is the initial velocity of a particle, u is the initial velocity, and v is the final velocity at some point, v is the final velocity, and particle is moving under the influence of gravity, then you know one of the equation is v square minus u square equal to 2g and the displacement s, distance s here. But in this case the particle is starting from rest, start at a in rest, so this part is 0. So you can say that this velocity square is equal to 2g s, or you can say v equal to, but in case we are moving downward, so instead of the ds, instead of this s, we use y here, 2gy, and v becomes under root of 2gy. So in place of v, we can write under root 2gy. Now what about this ds? I have already told you the arc length in a plane curve is given by this formula, ds equal to dx square plus dy square. If I take in this case dx as outside, dx square, so we are left with dy is outside, then the situation becomes like this ds equal to dy under root dx over dy square plus 1. Now this dx over dy is denoted as x dash. X dash stands for derivative of x with respect to y. So in this way this part becomes x dash and dy is outside. So finally our integral here, this integral takes this form, tau equal to 1 upon, when you are putting value of this v and value of this ds, the integral takes this form. Now in this case you can see that our independent variable y is independent variable and x is dependent variable. So in the Euler equation, the general Euler equation, we swap x and y. So I already told you in the earlier lecture that Taylor equation we write curly f over curly y minus d by dx curly f over curly y dash. But here we are swapping the variables. So instead of y you will write here x, and instead of x you will write here y, and similarly for y dash you will write here x dash. So that is how this Euler equation changes. Next, after doing this, now you see your functional. As earlier I told you that we denote it by capital F. This in other cases we denote it by capital F is this here, and curly f by curly x is 0. So curly f by curly x dash is constant. If we are putting all these values in the Euler equation, in this Euler equation, if we put all these values over here, so we get this type of situation equal to constant, and we are particularly considering that constant is 1 by 2a. 1 by 2a is constant. We are considering for the sake of simplified calculation. So solving this equation for x dash, we have x dash equal to y over 2a minus y under root. So here we are solving it for x. So this x dash means dx by dy. So x gives the integration of this, and y over 2a minus y under root, and here this is dy. Here this is dy. Obviously, by certain calculations, you can see the solution of this problem comes out to be. You can see here. Here basically this is dy here, right? So you can substitute here. You can take a substitution letter in this integral. You can put y equal to 2a sine square theta. So in this manner, this dy will become 4a sine theta cos theta d theta, and we are substituting the values over here, and on integration we get the value of y, value of x is this, and the value of y comes out to be this. So in this way, 2a, another way you can write it in this form also, y is this. So either put this way or this way. So in any case, you get the solution x equal to a theta minus sine theta, y equal to a into 1 minus cos theta. Now question arises, what does this equation represents? In lecture 5, I have discussed certain standard curves, geometry of some standard curves, and this was there. So you see the situation, the plot of this curve is this one. Here, this is the plot of that curve. But here you see we are taking y is down and x is downward and x is here. So I have just reversed this curve in this manner. So theta is 0 here, theta 2 pi. This is curve like this, and this curve is cycloid. So you can see the time will be minimum when the particle is dropped from rest along a cycloid. If this curve is the part of a cycloid given by this equation, then time will be minimum. So this is the solution of Brachistochrone problem. Now come to next thing. Next is the problem of geodesics. What is the problem of geodesics? Geodesics is nothing but geodesics is a given surface. Geodesics of a given surface is a curve lying on that surface along which the distance between 2 points is minimum. So you see, suppose you are having example I have given geodesics on a plane curve with a straight line. Here geodesics of a given surface is a curve lying on that surface along which the distance between 2 points is minimum. So the simplest one is the plane. We have already solved this. On a plane, if we are taking 2 points A and B, and the distance between 2 points will be minimum along a straight line, so we have already discussed. So you can say the geodesic on a plane surface is a straight line. Now we have different type of surfaces. For example, this is a sphere. On a sphere, if you have 2 points A and B, then what will be the geometry or the shape of the curve along which the distance between these 2 points will be minimum? So suppose one point is here, it can be like this, and we are already representing it like this. So you have to determine that particular curve, if that is passing through any two fixed point, maybe PQ, maybe AB, along which the distance between these two is minimum. So in case of plane, it is obviously it is a straight line, but on a sphere it is not the case. So you have to determine it theoretically. So how to determine this theoretically means you need to know the formula here. So in any case, in while determining the geodesics, so length of arc plays an important role. Length of arc on a particular surface, plays an important role. Similarly, if we are talking about a conical surface, in a conical surface, the geodesic means the curve of shortest length can be determined. On a cylinder, we can also determine the curve of shortest length. So before moving further, I would like to give you the answer of this question. The geodesic on a sphere is the great circle. That means the distance between 2 points on the surface of a sphere will be minimum if that curve is along the arc of great circle. In case of cone, it will be a spiral, and in case of a cylinder, the curve is a helix. So these are the answers, but how these comes? So you can see by solving these problems. So in this case, I am writing here three problems. Determine the equation of geodesics in the following surfaces: for the right circular cylinder, for the right circular cone, and for a sphere. So in every case, you are given some hint that in case of a right circular cylinder, the arc length is given by this formula, and in right circular cone, the arc length is given by this formula, and in case of a sphere, the arc length is given by this formula. So in every case, these equations have certain descriptions. So first, in this lecture, I am going to describe the geodesics of a sphere and how it comes and how this arc length comes out. So we'll discuss over here. Let we consider a sphere. Then you know, if this angle with x-axis is theta, this angle with x-axis, this is theta, and let this angle is phi. This angle is phi, and r is the radius. R is the radius of this sphere, right? Radius of this sphere. So the coordinates of any point on the sphere are represented by r, theta, and phi, and these are called the spherical polar coordinates. Spherical polar coordinates. Now, if we represent it in Cartesian form, then the coordinate are given by x, y, z. Then what is the relationship between x, y, z and then r, theta, and phi? So you represent the spherical polar coordinates in this manner. That x is this, and y is this, and z is this. So that is how you represent the spherical polar coordinates. And in case of a sphere, wherever is the point is, r remains, in this particular case, r remains constant, because we are moving on the surface of the sphere, not inside. So we are on the surface of a sphere. On the surface of a sphere, this r will be treated as constant. So these are values of x, y, and z. Now we determine the arc length. Means when we are going to find out the geodesics, of a sphere, what does it means? We are going to find out the length of arc having minimum length. So in general, the length of arc is given by this L equal to ds from A to B. Suppose you are on the sphere and there are 2 points A and B, and L is the length from A to B and ds is the small part, then this L can be represented like this, and you have to minimize this L. You have to find that curve along which this L is minimum. So this is the problem of geodesics in case of a sphere. So first of all, the arc length in 3 dimensions is given by this formula, ds equal to dx square plus dy square plus dz square. We also know that the spherical polar coordinates are given by this, already mentioned in the last slide. X is this, y is this, z is this. So I am denoting this as equation 1, this is equation 2, this is equation number 3. Here r is the radial distance, theta is the angle from x-axis as described earlier, and phi is the angle from z-axis, and r is the constant. Now from here you see r, here x is function of theta and phi, because I am saying that r is constant here. R is constant in every case here. So r is function of theta and phi. So dx is given by this formula, dy is by this formula, dz by this formula, from the knowledge of the partial differentiation. So when you find here curly x by curly theta, that means this r cos minus sine theta and sine phi d theta here. Similarly, you find curly x by curly phi, you will get something. You put the values over here, you find value of dx, value of dy, value of dz. So in this way, when values of dx, dy, dz are obtained, dx comes out to be this, dy is this, dz is this, right? And then ds is equal to this dx square plus dy square, yes, dx square, dy square, dz square. Substituting the values over here, after simplification, ds comes out to be this. Here d theta over d phi will be called theta dash. Theta dash here stands for d theta over d phi. So this is in fact value of ds. When you put this value of ds in L from point A to B, let phi, because we are integrating with respect to phi, so limit will be taken in terms of phi, that in moving from point A to B, phi changes from phi 1 to phi 2. So now this becomes the functional. In this case, here f is the function, capital F is the function of phi, theta and theta dash. So as in case of Cartesian coordinates, you can consider that this thing is x, this is y, and this is y dash. So accordingly, you will frame the Euler's equation. Euler equation in that situation is given by this, because theta is in place of y and phi is in place of x. So Euler equation becomes this. But you see capital F here, this capital F is independent of theta explicitly. When it is independent of theta explicitly, then curly F over curly theta is 0, and this is equal to 0, and this is constant. And now we find curly F over curly theta dash from this F, because F is this quantity, and from here you find curly F over curly theta dash. Curly F over curly theta dash value comes out to be this. Now curly F over curly theta dash is this, and this thing is equal to constant. That means this quantity equal to k. On simplification, we get d theta dash is equal to d theta over d phi equal to k. Further, we take sine square phi outside, so it will be sine phi ultimately. And when you take in numerator, it is cosecant square phi, and here 1 minus k sine square theta. These are very simple calculation you can do. But now, to simplify this integral, we have to move through certain substitution. Suppose you are taking cot phi equal to u over k, then cot phi means base over perpendicular is cot phi. When you know base and perpendicular, you can determine by Pythagoras theorem the hypotenuse, value of hypotenuse. Now in a right angle triangle, you know all the three sides, length or base, perpendicular and hypotenuse, you can find any trigonometric ratio. So here value of sine phi comes out to be perpendicular over hypotenuse. And when you find cosecant phi is so reciprocal of this, substituting these values in this, in value of sine square phi here and value of cosecant square phi over here. So after simplification, it will give us theta equal to this quantity. Further, 1 k is again constant quantity. So 1 minus k square, we put it alpha square. And then theta becomes minus du by alpha square minus u square. When you integrate, then theta equal to cos inverse u by alpha and plus this is arbitrary constant theta naught. When theta minus theta naught equal to this quantity, because you already know this u will be the value of u will be k cot phi. You can see here u equal to k cot phi. You substitute this value over here, u equal to k cot phi, and now beta this k over alpha equal to beta here. Now cos inverse beta cot phi, you take cos inverse here, this is cos theta, theta minus theta naught and beta cot phi. Now this is the equation of great circle. Now how it is the equation of great circle, we are going to describe on the next slide. You see the equation of a plane. First of all, you must know how a great circle is obtained. How a great circle is obtained. You see, suppose we have a sphere here, and this is the center of the sphere. Now, if any plane is passing through, the center, plane is passing through the center of the sphere, it means the sphere is cut by this plane. Sphere is cut by this plane. When this plane cut the sphere and the circle appears in this manner, is called the great circle. It's called the great circle. So here great circle will be obtained if the sphere is cut by the plane. Now you consider that equation of a plane if it is passing through origin is given by ax plus by plus cz equal to 0 in Cartesian form. Now in spherical coordinate, x is this, y is this, and z is this. You put value of x, y, z over here and we get this type of the form. Now here I put here a equal to t cos theta naught, b equal to this, and squaring and adding gives us t equal to this a square plus b square under root. Now equation 1 reduces to this form, because when you put here a, it is t cos theta naught, and here t sin theta naught. T is outside, then cos a cos b, sin a sin b becomes cos of a minus b. That means cos of theta minus theta naught. So a square plus b square under root cos of theta minus theta naught minus c cot phi. So this is the equation here. When we further simplify this, we get cos theta minus theta naught. This again, the whole thing is constant. You denote this constant by beta. Now the equation is same as we have obtained. This is same equation as we have obtained by solving the Euler equation when a plane cut the sphere through the center. So we get a great circle. Hence, geodesics of a sphere is a great circle. That means on the surface of a sphere, the minimum distance between 2 points comes out to be along the arc of a great circle. Therefore, geodesics of a great circle, geodesics of a sphere on the surface of a sphere is a great circle. Thank you.